The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Marcus Thompson adjusted his formal diplomatic robes one final time. The human delegation had requested this emergency session after months of escalating tensions with the Vorthic Empire, and every species in the galaxy had sent representatives to witness what many believed would be humanity's formal surrender. Elder Cormith of the Tenthery Collective leaned forward in his crystalline seat, his three eyes focused intently on the human ambassador. In his 7 centuries of diplomatic service, he had never seen a species maintain such restraint under pressure. The humans had endured trade blockades, territorial seizures, and systematic harassment of their merchant vessels for nearly 2 standard years. Through it all, they had responded with formal protests, diplomatic notes, and endless attempts at negotiation. The chair recognizes Ambassador Thompson of the Terran Federation, announced Supreme Arbitrator Velis. Her melodic voice carrying across the vast chamber. Thompson stood slowly, his movements measured and deliberate. The watching delegates expected another carefully worded appeal for peaceful resolution. They had grown accustomed to humanity's almost pathological politeness, their tendency to apologize even when clearly wronged, their persistent belief that any conflict could be resolved through patient dialogue. Honored delegates, Thompson began, his voice carrying the same respectful tone that had characterized every human diplomatic interaction for decades. For 23 months, we have brought our concerns about Vorthic aggression to this chamber. We have filed formal complaints, requested mediation, and proposed compromise solutions. We have done so because we believe in the principles this council was founded upon. High Commander Brektos of the Vorthic Empire slouched in his seat, his massive frame radiating contempt. The reptilian warlord had built his reputation on intimidating lesser species into submission. Humans, with their soft skin and fragile bones, had seemed like the easiest prey he had ever encountered. However, Thompson continued, and something in his tone made Elder Cormith straighten in his seat. Our patience has limits. The ambassador reached into his ceremonial sash and withdrew a small device that several delegates recognized as a standard communication unit. But instead of the usual blue glow of diplomatic frequencies, this one pulsed with the deep red of military channels. Yesterday, at 08:00 hours, Vorthic forces fired upon the civilian transport Harmony's Dream. 17 crew members were killed, including 3 children. The vessel was carrying medical supplies to the Outer Rim colonies and posed no threat to anyone. Thompson's voice remained steady, but the temperature in the chamber seemed to drop several degrees. High Commander Brektos laughed, a harsh sound that echoed through the chamber. Casualties are inevitable when inferior species venture into space. They cannot adequately defend. Perhaps humans should consider staying closer to their home system. Thompson turned to face the Vorthic commander directly. That cargo ship was crewed by volunteers delivering medicine to plague victims. They broadcast their humanitarian mission on all frequencies. They carried no weapons, no military equipment, and no strategic materials. Weakness invites aggression. Brektos replied with a dismissive gesture. This is the natural order. The human ambassador nodded slowly. I see. Then let me be clear about something, Commander. What you have interpreted as weakness was actually courtesy. What you have mistaken for fear was actually politeness. And what you have assumed was cowardice was actually us following the rules. Thompson. ACTIVADED, the communication device. Admiral Collins, this is Ambassador Thompson. Please confirm the current status of the Terran Defense Fleet. A crisp voice responded immediately, loud enough for every delegate to hear. All 7 battle groups are at full readiness, sir. The Indomitable and her escort fleet are positioned at the edge of Vorthic space. Admiral Zhang's task force has secured the trade routes. The orbital defense platforms around all human colonies are armed and operational. Elder Cormith felt his breathing apparatus flutter. 7 battle groups. The humans had 7 full battle groups, and no one had known. Every intelligence report had suggested that humanity possessed only a modest patrol fleet and some outdated defensive satellites. Thank you, Admiral. And the status of our diplomatic mission? Concluded as of this moment, sir. All embassy staff have been evacuated from Vorthic space. We are no longer bound by the non-aggression protocols. Thompson deactivated the device and turned back to the Council. High Commander Brektos, you have 1 standard hour to withdraw all Vorthic forces from human space and to surrender the vessels responsible for yesterday's attack. You will also provide full reparations for the families of the 17 victims. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates from dozens of species began speaking at once, their translators creating a cacophony of overlapping voices. Through it, Brektos sat frozen, his reptilian features twisted in shock. You dare to threaten the Vorthic Empire? He finally managed to say, I am not threatening anyone, Thompson replied calmly. I am informing you of the consequences of your actions. You chose to interpret our diplomatic efforts as weakness. You chose to escalate every situation rather than seek peaceful resolution. And you chose to murder civilians. The ambassador's voice hardened. Those were your choices, Commander. Now you will live with ours. Supreme Arbitrator Velis struggled to restore order. Ambassador Thompson, the Council must have time to consider. The Council has had 23 months to consider our grievances. Thompson interrupted, his diplomatic mask finally slipping. We have followed every protocol, respected every tradition, and honored every courtesy. We have been patient while our merchants were harassed, understanding while our trade routes were blocked, and polite while our people were threatened. He turned to address the entire chamber. But we will not be patient while children are murdered. The Terran Federation withdraws from all non-aggression treaties with the Vorthic Empire. We formally invoke Article 7 of the Galactic Charter, which permits military response to unprovoked attacks on civilian vessels. The silence that followed was deafening. Every delegate understood the implications. Humanity had just declared war on the most feared military power in the galaxy, and they had done so with the same calm courtesy they had shown while serving tea at diplomatic receptions. Thompson gathered his ceremonial robes and moved toward the exit. The hour begins now, Commander. Choose wisely. As the human delegation filed out of the chamber, Elder Cormith found himself reconsidering everything he thought he knew about the quiet, polite species from the 3rd planet of an unremarkable star system. They had spent decades building a reputation for kindness and diplomacy, but now he wondered if that had been strategic deception, or simply the way humans preferred to interact when the alternative was devastation. The answer would become clear in the coming days as the galaxy learned what happened when humanity stopped being polite and started being efficient.